Well, you join me today in California, where I have the Mazda6 Signature with me, with many thanks to Mazda Canada and Mazda USA, so I could avoid the young rental charge fee when it comes to all of the stupid additions that rental car companies will add onto your bill. So with this Mazda6, I've already been able to test out this vehicle. This video is mostly going to be a recap on this car, because there was one very significant change for the 2019 model year, the addition with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But outside of that, if you want to find out more information when it comes to the Mazda6, I'm going to point you to my previous video. But as I'm here in California, let's have some fun, drive about and check out what this Mazda6 is like. So this Mazda6 Signature is exactly like the one we get in Canada, making my life pretty easy when it comes to comparing the trim levels, where for so many American models of the cars that we get, there's usually some differences, at least with the naming, but sometimes with the equipment as well. So this Mazda6 Signature, just like the one I had, but here we have the cream leather interior with the Alcantara accents right across the front and in the door cards and in the rear as well. That's a surprising thing to know. I forgot they did that. With this car, you can see that it has been mucked up a little bit, whether it is a lot of people getting in and out of this car, it is a press vehicle at the end of the day. It is getting abused more than most, and you can really notice the discoloring right beside the chrome details that split apart the Alcantara and the wood. Outside of that, I think the only other problem with this Mazda6, of which I experienced in the previous car, is the 360-degree camera system is low res in comparison of many other cars in the economy segment and in the premium segment as well. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. But the big thing for 2019 that is different from the car that I reviewed is that we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's a big selling point for so many people. Mazda made that change at the end of 2018, where you could now upgrade this screen and the Mazda Connect system to feature Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great. You'll also see that with the badges on the outside of the car and the little plaque that's over the engine, it is now featuring the new Mazda font type, which debuted in the new Mazda 3. It's not everywhere though. The touchscreen and a lot of the other things that would feature text aren't that new Mazda font, and in the door sills as well, it still features the old Mazda font too. So driving around Los Angeles, I think the biggest thing that we've discovered is that this is a very composed vehicle. We were fortunate enough to drive a rental car for a couple hours. There was a Ford Fusion in a very similar spec to this, top of the line titanium, and what we really noticed down the highway, and I say we, you want to come in?
Hello.
Anybody recognize that face? Jane Stranger, aka one of my best friends ever, is here in LA with me. And what we really noticed about that previous car is that it, even on normal cracks in the pavement and the expansion joints of the highway, there's a lot of secondary movement. It fidgeted around a lot in its space. It felt like every vibration was being shot to one end of the chassis and back. But with this Mazda, only the harshness of pavement is really felt through the steering wheel, through the seats, which are very nicely padded and heated and ventilated. And really, even on these 19-inch wheels that look far bigger than they actually are, ride comfort hasn't been a problem at all in the drive that we've had so far and on the roads that we've experienced. And as someone that hasn't really driven in America much and never in California, it is really refreshing getting into a car that has the speed light up on the screen and the heads-up display and on the map system, because we've been driving down plenty of roads and have no idea what the speed limit is. But having that little indicator to know that the cameras have picked up some information is great for when we're going along roads and we're fearful that we're in the... You just realized that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. Going along all these roads fearing that we're holding people up or we're driving too fast. It's Not the most reliable system. I have gone on record before by saying I don't think any of these systems work 100% of the time. But as someone coming here that's never driven here before, great handy tool that I once dismissed. And then outside of that, anything else that really needs to be discussed about this Mazda 6? Well, I'm more than happy to drive this vehicle here as just a few days out by the ocean. Happy to drive it in home when the weather conditions are much more significant and much more harsh than this. And been able to carry all of our stuff. The trunk space is more than enough. Oh, and you noted when we were going on off-ramps, you know, the cloverleaf bits, how much that Ford was rolling over to the side. And this wasn't?
Yep.
How did you notice that? How did you feel that?
Because when we were in the last car, it felt like we were playing ragdoll, where you try and hit the person next to you.
Okay.
Where in this one, didn't have that effect at all. Could barely tell. And you were going the same speed, probably.
There you go. From the uninitiated, this is a much better handling car than the Ford Fusion. And that's, I think, enough to justify making a video about this car. Maybe some other notes for the 2020 model year. There will be a different key fob like what there is in the new Mazda 3. I'm not crazy about that change. And then we'll actually see some changes with the badging when it comes to the signature model as well. I'll put a picture up on the screen to see what it's like on the back of a CX-5. And that's really it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this very quick video. When it comes to Mazda Canada and Mazda USA to making this happen, you've really made our trip attainable. Don't know if many of you know, I'm 23 years old, and when it comes to renting a car, rental car companies like to take all the money they possibly can from you if you're under 25, and it's a real shame, but...
Even though they don't always put it in the small writing.
Yes, they really don't. At the very least, this video can be like a public service announcement of saying to young people traveling what can go wrong when you're picking up a rental car, or just travel with people who are older than you. Simple as that. That wraps up everything for this video. I'm gonna do a quick video thanking my 10,000 subscribers tomorrow's video, so be sure to stick around and check that out. Thanks again, Mazda Canada and Mazda USA. You know all the bits and pieces about liking and subscribing and sharing, so I won't bore you with that. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
If a lot of people like and subscribe on this video, Max said I can come back again.
Yes, that's very true.
And he said that's the only way.